Hi, I'm Cindy Bertram. Thanks for joining me today on Good Ship Happens. There's been a lot of really exciting things that have come up this week about the cruise industry, including ships, etc. I'll talk more about that too. We have a lot of new ships coming out in this year, 2024, which is great. And also, when a new ship comes out, they are officially christened. That's a naming ceremony. It's been going on for years and years and years. It's a tradition in the maritime industry, the cruise industry. And what they do is with the cruise lines, they are usually christened by a godmother, although recently seen some ships that have been christened by godfathers. Most recently, it was actually Icon of Seas, which was actually christened by a godfather. Mentioned that in my last episode last week, but also I know that another ship that came out before was actually a Norwegian Cruise Lines. They had a godfather christen their ship. And then prior to that, another ship that was christened by a godfather actually was Pitbull, who christened a Norwegian Cruise Line ship a while back, several years ago. I was there. It was a fantastic experience, too. Once again, with Carnival Cruise Line, what they did was they did actually decide to expand their cruises, and they are now sailing out of um, Galveston, Texas. Okay, and they actually got the ship in the end of December. She was actually entering service on December 23rd, the Carnival Jubilee, and she is home ported in the port of Galveston, Texas, which is great. And the Carnival Jubilee wasn't christened when she entered service on December 23rd, but what they did was they were doing an official naming ceremony coming up, a christening that's going to be taking place on February 23rd, and they just announced the godmother. The godmother for the Carnival Jubilee is going to be globe music superstar Gwen Stefani. She's going to be godmother of the Carnival's new flagship, the Carnival Jubilee, at a naming ceremony and celebration in Galveston, Texas on Saturday, February 24th. As far as Gwen Stefani, I'm sure you recognize her name, of course. She's fantastic. She is a 3-time Grammy Award winner. Also achieved great success as a songwriter, performer. She's a frontwoman and also multi-platinum solo artist too. And she really has won an array of honors, which is great. 2 Billboard Awards, an American Music Award, also a Brit Award, and to date, she's actually sold more than 60 million units worldwide. And she's also returning for her 7th season as a coach on the Emmy Award NBC series called The Voice this past fall. And she's also recognized for her philanthropic work, including supporting children's causes too. And what they do is they just announced Gwen Stefani is going to be the godmother. It was announced by Christine Duffy, the president of Carnival Cruise Line. And Christine mentioned, we're absolutely thrilled to welcome Gwen Stefani on board Carnival Jubilee, so we can honor her as the ship's godmother. And she really has demonstrated her commitment in our Carnival values, which includes promoting diversity and inclusion, supporting charitable causes, being there, of course, and of course, having fun. And like I said, it's going to be an event that's coming up on February 24th in Galveston, Texas. And Stefani mentioned that she was honored to be named godmother of the new Carnival Jubilee. And she said that really Carnival is taking it to the next level of fun by being committed to children's causes as well as supporting our military families and veterans. And although, like I said, the Carnival Jubilee entered service on December 23rd, she wasn't christened then. They waited until now. That's great. It's going to be seen on Carnival's Facebook page at 3:30 Central Time on February 24th. So definitely keep that in mind too. And as far as the Carnival Jubilee, she can accommodate 6,500 guests at the most. She has 1,750 crew members. She's actually powered by liquefied natural gas, LNG, which is great because that's one thing that cruise lines are doing. They're working hard to get to that net zero emissions, carbon emissions by 2050. And most cruise lines are really jumping on this like fast, which is great in a very, very good way too. So if you didn't think you could actually sail on a cruise ship out of Galveston, Texas, we're seeing a lot of growth there too, but definitely consider the Carnival Jubilee, which is great. I'm just excited about her selection as godmother too. Something else is another ship coming out later this year, Cunard Line. If you're not familiar with Cunard, they've been around for over 100 years. Fantastic. What they did was, this is their first new ship in over 10 years. And what they did was, Cunard, they're going to actually they chose where they're going to actually be hosting the naming ceremony. And the new ship is called the Queen Anne, with an E on the end. And they decided to actually do that naming ceremony in Liverpool. They just announced that too, which is great. So the Colonel's spiritual home is going to be the naming ceremony for his new ship, the Queen Anne. It's going to be taking place on June 3rd, of course, in the Mersey waterfront in Liverpool on Monday, June 3rd. And it's going to doing a celebratory lap of honor voyage around the British Islands. And I know that they mentioned that it's going to include the Boston musician Matt Willis and his TV presenter wife Emma Willis. And this couple of British pop culture really recorded this message, revealing what guests can expect as far as this overall event. As far as the naming ceremony itself, as I just announced it, the Queen Anne is going to be arriving on the Mersey soon after sunrise on what promises to be the most eagerly awaited port of call on this exclusive 14-night voyage. And plans are being made now for arrival to include a special salute to the city, where Cunard's pioneering transatlantic service was actually launched itself back in 1840. Yes, Cunard Line actually pioneered the transatlantic service, a passenger shipping itself too, back in 1840. And this is actually where the iconic Cunard building formed its counterpiece with the Three Graces. And this 14-night special British Islands festival voyage is going to depart Southampton on May 24th, main voyages to Edinburgh, also Greenock, other places, and also I know that Belfast. And guests in Liverpool, of course, where guests can really enjoy sailing the voyage, will have exclusive opportunity to join the naming ceremonies themselves before the spectacular late evening departure, followed by a return to Southampton. And this formal naming ceremony will be a highlight of celebrating the Queen Anne, which is nearing completion right now in Italy. And this event in Liverpool is expected to draw tens of thousands of spectators, with vantage points along the river at Pierhead between New Brighton, also Seacombe, and on the beaches. Also, there's going to be a live global broadcast too, which will make sure that the world can once again fall on the Cunard event in Liverpool. And with Cunard ships, they previously attracted more than 1 million spectators to the banks of Mersey. First, with the main call of their renowned QE2 back in July of 1990. Also in 2015 for the Three Queens Royal Rendezvous in front of the Cunard Building, and also to celebrate 175 years anniversary of the most famous name in shipping. And as far as the British Islands in this special festival voyage, guests will have a chance to really be part of this unique event as far as Cunard's history, with a host of surprise celebrations in Liverpool's world-famous Pierhead, where the iconic Cunard building at its heart. And they've got a list of entertainers are going to be actually doing performances at the official naming ceremony of the Queen Anne. And this 14-night British Isles festival voyage is going to depart Southampton on May 24th, with main calls to different areas. And then, of course, they're going to have some different experiences. And really, it's fun, I think, to think about a ship being named, of course, over in Liverpool. And Katie McAllister, was actually the president of Cunard, had mentioned Cunard really has an incredible bond with the city of Liverpool. It's where our founder, Sir Samuel Cunard, actually began the transatlantic line back in 1840. And what better place than to officially hold the naming of their new ship, where it holds so many memories too, which is great. And the Queen, it really is the next in a fine line of our Iran, and she mentioned she will be bursting with breathtaking moments around every corner, evolving our core values of luxury, sophistication, and also glamour too. And Liverpool, of course, is known across the world as Cunard's spiritual home, and they're really excited to see the Queen Anne there too. And I think it's really good to think about this too, because once again, this is really an honor for Liverpool too. Councillor Leon Robinson, who's actually leader of the Liverpool City Council, mentioned it's really an honor for Liverpool to be chosen as the location for the official naming ceremony of the Queen Anne. And the city, of course, and Cunard share great history, because once again, it was the original home of the world famous cruise line, and they staged a great event back in 2015, the Queens of the Mersey, and there was another international event that took place, once again, kind of showcasing Liverpool too. And they'll be doing more details as far as the timing and the spectacular information about the Queen Anne's visit to Liverpool in future press releases, information too. But it's really, really exciting because this is the first new ship that Cunard has had in over 10 years, which is great. She's bringing new dimensions, which is great too. So I thought I'd share that too, because once again, it's good to have the Queen Anne ship that's going to be christened over in Liverpool, because once again, that's really kind of like the core of where Cunard Line actually began in 1840. Yes. And of course, they build beautiful ships themselves too. And I'll share more about that in future episodes too. Something else that just came up to which I think was really, really exciting too is when you think about cruising, if anybody's taken a cruise, how did you find about cruising anyway? I mean, what kind of got you interested in maybe taking a cruise? For me, myself, confession time, I did like watching the Love Boat TV series too. And I would watch it. And then later on, when I was doing my master's degree in business administration at Loyola in the evenings, I'd come home about 10 o'clock at night. They reruns of the Love Boat TV series too, which is great. And over the years, they would have different people from that show kind of be spokespeople. One, of course, was Gab McLeod, Captain Stubing. I actually met him several times at different cruise conferences. He was an amazing person, and he's been gone for a couple of years now, but he's just an amazing person to see, and just a fantastic person. But what they're doing is Princess Cruises just announced they've got a Love Boat theme cruise with members of their original cast. So if people want to stay on course for adventure, love adventure, this is going to take place on the Enchanted Princess. And her sailing is going to be a Canada and New England voyage, August 31st to September 7th of this year, 2024. Yes. But how fun. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine this. But like I said, they just unveiled this second theme cruise, reuniting some cast members from the original show. And they actually did success as far as an inaugural Love Boat cruise back in 2022. And once again, this is where fans of the show could actually sail with different people, including Doc, Gopher, Isaac, and Vicky Stubing, as they cruise around New York to Canada and New England aboard the Enchanted Princess, which is August 31st to September 7th. And as far as Princess Cruises, their ambassador is actually Jill Whalen. She actually was Vicky Stubing. That was Captain Stubing's daughter. And also she'll be joining fellow Love Boat cast members, including Bernie Capel, Doc. I met him. He's great. Also, Fred Grant, who was Gopher, met him too. And Ted Lang, who is Isaac, the bartender. And like I said, it's really, really fun to see what they're going to have on board this ship. Plus, they mentioned they might have some other surprise guests that will be announced too. But just how fun to think about doing a special cruise with some of the members of the original cast of the Love Boat TV series. It was amazing. As mentioned, I've been fortunate to actually meet Gab McLeod a couple times. He actually, at my request, he signed a happy anniversary card for my parents because they were actually sailing on a Princess Cruise for an anniversary. He signed it. He was a spokesperson at that conference, and he graciously signed that card for my parents. I gave him that card with the cruise documents, which is great. But how fun to actually get a happy anniversary card from Captain Stubing when you're sailing on a Princess cruise ship. Of course, it was a long time ago, but also during the special cruise sailing, they're going to have a meet and greet photo and signing opportunities. And also, they have Love Boat inspired activities with prizes, a special cocktail demonstration hosted by Ezra Friedman and also Ted Lang. Okay. And practice the finger point. Also, they'll have a symbolic renewal of the vows ceremony, which will be officiated by the cast. Also, they're going to have cast answers, Q&As, sharing favorite memories of the show and also stories of their careers, which is great. Who wouldn't want to hear about their careers? Also, they have Love Boat episodes airing on Movies on the Stars in the staterooms. By the way, as far as Movies on the Stars, there's one thing that really, I think Princess Cruises really kind of led the way to in their pool area, and they decided to do this special screen thing called Movies on the Stars. And I actually sailed on Princess Cruises. And what they did was in the evenings, we could watch movies out in the pool areas with our deck chairs. They gave us drinks, popcorn to enjoy, also blankets if we needed them, service right there. And of course, they do the movies during the day too, but it's a great experience too, because once again, it's something that other cruise lines have really kind of also followed through to too. But once again, how fun to see Love Boat series airing on Movies on the Stars when you're actually sailing on a ship, and of course, a princess ship. They're going to have trivia questions with the cruise director too. They're going to have Love Boat inspired menus and specialty cocktails. Once again, too, is don't forget, you'll be able to see a cocktail demonstration officiated, led by Ezra Freeman and also Ted Lang. Okay, which is great. And also, they're going to have Love Boat inspired menus and specialty cocktails, also themed decor, photo backdrops, and merchandise. And what they did was Jill Whalen, who is really considered the celebrations ambassador for Princess Cruises, she mentioned, we had such a blast connecting with our fans on our theme cruise back in 2022. So bringing it back to 2024 really feels like it was meant to be, especially with the addition of some surprise guests. They haven't mentioned who the surprise guests are, but they will announce later. If I find out in advance who the surprise guests are, believe me, I will let you know, okay? And also, I know that they're going to, she said, sailing with our fans brings us so much joy. And this cruise it's really undoubtedly a special reunion, bringing us all back to where it all began on a Princess Cruise. And superfans could actually opt for a special Love Boat VIP package, which features an invitation to an exclusive cocktail party, reserved seating for the cast, quest and in the Princess Theater, frontline access for autographs and photos, dinner at the captain's table. Oh my goodness, that would be fantastic. Yes. And also they've got a themed cruise TV shirt and mug. I get more details and how to book that soon. So they just announced this week, so you'll find out more. But this is coming up in the fall. Also, on this special Love Boat themed cruise, it's a 7-day Canada New England cruise aboard the 3,660 guest Enchanted Princess. She sails round trip from New York City. She will be visiting Newport, Rhode Island, Boston, Rockland, Maine, St. John, Canada, and also Halifax, Canada. And I think that's just fantastic too, because once again, it's a beautiful way to kind of see these beautiful areas in a different way too. And who wouldn't have fun if you're on the Enchanted Princess for the special Love Boat cruise too? And once again, going back to, I fell in love cruising myself too, was watching Love Boat television series too, but also the Love Boat really was credited with bringing cruising to masses and showcasing the romance of the sea and taking Hollywood's biggest stars for sought after destinations, as the story lines always ended on a happy note too. And in the fall of 2022, Princess once again was featured again as far as setting up the real Love Boat on CBS and Paramount, reality dating adventure series where 3 real-life Princess crew members and 12 singles actually looking for love joined hosts Rebecca Romijn and Jerry O'Connor on the Regal Princess sailing during the Mediterranean. So once again, you can actually find out more information if you want to by calling a professional travel advisor, or you can actually call Princess Cruises too and actually look at Princess Cruises' website. But just, I think that's so exciting to look forward to too, because once again, who wouldn't want to actually be on a Princess Cruise Line ship as far as the special themed cruise cast members of the Love Boat, including Doc, Gopher, Isaac, and Vicky Stubing, of course, which is great. Okay, she was actually Vicky Stubing, the captain's daughter, Gab McLeod. But how wonderful. I just want to share that one there. It really gets me excited too. Something else that just came up this week too was I know that we just they just launched the Icon of the Seas on January 23rd. That was Royal Caribbean's new ship, the biggest ship ever built. She was actually christened on January 23rd and started sailing on her first cruise on January 27th. As mentioned last week in my Good Ship Happens episode, I shared something really, really fun. In addition to having regular offices on board cruise line ships, Royal Caribbean announced they have a new chief dog officer. Yes, her name is Rover. She's a 6-month-old golden retriever, and she is Royal Caribbean's first chief dog officer. I think she's a brand new chief dog officer for any cruise line in the whole world too. But anyway, that was so exciting to share. I wrote about it. My article should get published next week, but I got some pictures of the chief dog officer Rover in the bridge with one of the officers, and her job is to create smiles for people. She's with the captain. Also, she'll be walking around the ship too, and of course, she's got people taking care of her too. But who wouldn't want to experience a beautiful ship like Icon Seas and also be able to actually smile and make a dog smile at you too? But Chief Officer, Dog Officer Rover is 6 months old, golden retriever, very well trained too. But definitely keep in mind too, something else that Royal Caribbean just announced too is they've got another ship coming out on their upcoming. It's called Utopia of the Seas. And what they're doing is, when you think about cruise line ships, years ago they would say, "Okay, all aboard," right? Well, in this case, what they just announced this week, actually today, is that Royal Caribbean's upcoming Utopia of the Seas. What they're doing is, this is the first cruise line. They're debuting a new train-inspired restaurant. It's a full-fledged dining experience on board their new ship. It's going to be called the Royal Railway. Utopia Station is really a dining concept where guests can arrive at onboard call rail station and then board a train for a meal in one of 2 dining cars. It's really inspired by the turn-of-century rail journeys, and these 2 24-seat cars are adorned with pieces of real railway cars, but the experience goes up too, just beyond a well-decorated interior. Although the cars won't physically move, so you don't have to worry about that. They won't physically move, but they've got LED screens on the windows that will take you on a virtual trip, while performers actually bring a train-inspired story to life throughout your meal. And this really concept was born out of Royal Caribbean's research to what guests really wanted to look for on board. And what they mentioned was, they said, we kept seeing that this notion of more immersive entertainment, and we've been putting that or playing this out of our ships too, continue on with this. And what they did was, Jay Schneider, who was the Senior Vice President of Royal Caribbean International, had told the media about this too. So why a train for an immersive dining experience on board Utopia of the Seas? Well, Schneider actually mentioned there were 2 primary motivators that really kind of brought this into place as far as destinations and food. He said when you have those 2 together, destinations and food, and you look at that notion of immersion, we came up with this idea we came up with this idea of putting a train on a cruise ship, because a train can give you a platform that takes you to infinitely more destinations. And while it's very easy to come up with a menu to match the destinations too. And once again, it goes back to the storylines of the Royal Railway. Utopia Station. The dining experience is still under development. They're still planning it, but they know that they mentioned they want to share 2 different itineraries. They're exploring 2 different things too right now. They're planning out the whole thing. And once again, they've got this one concept, also more of a Silk Road journey too, which lends itself back to a romantic date and some other things too. But they just announced this, and I think this is really, really fun too, because once again, Shannon also mentioned that these 2 journeys are just a start what they're doing too, because with like you'll feel like you're riding on the train in the Old West, which is one concept, of course, an actor-heavy Wild West concept, and the other one with the train traveling on the Silk Road through Asia is another concept too. And he mentioned these are just the start. He already has some different ideas for different venues, including from hot chocolate at the North Pole to wine tastings in the Napa Valley, or any wine region really throughout the world. And the best part of this is with this platform, really lets them really tweak it. They can adjust the food, they can readjust the scenery, we can adjust the performance and interaction, and just listen to guests too and see what they want to do too. As far as Utopia of the Seas, when she's coming out, she's going to be actually launching in July of 2024. And you can actually book this cruise right now. So actually, this is really, I think, a fun concept too, with their new train-inspired restaurant on board. Utopia of the Seas, by the way, is trying to think what the class ship is. It's not as big as Icon of Seas, but once again, just what a concept to actually be able to have this experience on board the ship, where a train dining experience would take you around, but the train doesn't move obviously too. So it's really, really fun too. So definitely think about that too, because once again, I think cruise lines are really looking at what people want to see and experience on the ships when they're on board too, of course. Different entertainment, but also dining is really, really fantastic because there's so many choices out there. And one of the benefits of taking a cruise too is, for the most part, cruise lines have different types of options as far as dining, casual, of course, more fun, whatever. And of course, most of the dining options are included. Of course, they've got some special restaurants that might be surcharged for that. But with this, it just sounds fun to actually have a conductor calling out all aboard when you're going to be dining at their Railway Utopia Station, which is great. So definitely keep that in mind too. It's really, really kind of fun to think about that too. Okay. And that's, of course, on their new ship coming out, Utopia of the Seas, coming out later on this year. I think I mentioned it's going to be coming out on July of 2024. So just in about 6-7 months. That's great too. So keep that in mind too. That's really, really fun things too. Something else too that people ask about too is different ports. Obviously, we know about the Caribbean, what cruise lines sail there, but I've mentioned before that, well, a good example is with Carnival. They've got their Carnival Jubilee sailing out of Galveston, Texas. We're seeing more interest there too. Another was Port Canaveral. I talked about that before. Of course, Miami is one. It's been going on for years. That's where cruise industry really started. Also with Port Everglades, which is in Fort Lauderdale. We're seeing more ships now that are actually sailing around from New York, which is great too. But definitely keep that in mind too, because there's so many options out there. You just don't have to go to Miami if you don't want to for a cruise departure. You got options too. And I think Galveston is a good example. I know that other cruise lines are doing that too. And once again, too, goes back to I've talked about river cruising before in the U.S., and one is American Cruise Lines, and they've got their Coastal Cats. I'll be writing about their newest one, which was christened beginning of January. She's christened in Key West by the mayor of Key West too. Once again, too, is they have different. They've got 50 different itineraries, which is great. They've got different ships, of course. They've got their riverboats. They've got the Coastal Cats. I mentioned that before, and they've got, like I said, they've got Coastal Cats. Okay, obviously they're ships, not just cats, but their fleet of Coastal Cats are really, really great too to think about too, because once again, it's really designed for more of inland exploration along the East Coast, and these dynamic ships really have a way of sophistication plus adventure for their guests. in a small package. They just have 100 guests on board each of their ships or vessels. Okay. And what they do is they offer different ways to really explore personally New England, the Hudson River, or also the intercoastal waterway of the Southeast. And like I said, what's good too, they're smaller in size, so their boats actually offer more space per person, which is great. And their standard staterooms are actually 300 square feet, which is great because normally, if you were to take a regular cruise line ship, normally the cruise ships are maybe 150 square feet or less. Okay, just to let you know about that too. And once again, they got their American Eagle and their American Glory, which they've been sailing on the East Coast, and that's the first of their 12 planned ships. They've got their American Liberty and the American Legend that are going to debut in this year, 2024. And they got more ships coming on too, which is great. But the American Eagle, of course, and the American Glory are already out. They got new ones coming out too, which is great. And once again, with the American Cruise Lines, what they do is they actually own, they're family owned, and they actually own the shipper that actually builds their ships plus other ships too. They focus on smaller ships too. They've been in business for a long time, fantastic people. And really, they're just really another thing to think about too, because once again, it's another way to really kind of experience areas that maybe big ships can't get into, but also in the US, which is great too. So definitely keep that in mind because it's just another option to think about too. And like I said, they been around for a long time, family owned, which I think is fantastic. And they've actually been exploring America for more than 50 years. Yes. We don't think about that too, but they've been exploring America for more than 50 years. And like I said, they got a great history that intertwines with the beauty of the nation's waterways too. And their ships are American made, of course. They're built by their Chesapeake Shipping Yard too, which the family owns separately. And it's a good way to really experience hidden gems within the United States too, which is great. And I said they are just they focus on personalized service, the small ship cruising, and really unique itineraries that explore the U.S. Americans' waterways too. So definitely keep that in mind too, because that's just another option to think about too. I've talked about river cruising before, and over in Europe, that's a great way to really experience cruising and exploring Europe too, because once again, with the river cruise lines, we've got several great ones over there, but what they do is a way to really be able to explore Europe, the waterways, and once again, with the river cruises that are offered over there, your ship actually serves as your hotel. So normally I've mentioned this before, not to get too adamant about it, but I just like sharing positive stories. But with Europe, if you're ever going to Europe, you have to stay at a hotel, then pack up, go to another hotel, pack up, go to another hotel, pack up to see different areas. Not that that's bad, but once again, with River Cruise Line, it's another great way to really experience areas of Europe, especially on the waterways over there. They look beautiful. The Rhine River, of course, is one. Moselle, different options. Once again, the ship is actually a hotel. Dining's included. They got ship inspections. They got shore excursions that are usually included. And once again, too, it's a great way to kind of relax and really enjoy different parts of Europe. Plus, with the river cruising over in Europe, their ships are very small capacity. And once again, it's a great way to actually be able to see where they actually dock and get right off and walk around, experience these beautiful places that maybe you couldn't experience if you were taking a regular ocean liner cruise ship over in Europe. Not that that's bad, but this is just an option to think about too. Something else is we've got a lot of smaller cruise lines out there too, which is great. One is Windstar. I know they're doing some renovations on the ships too. Plus, I know that Windstar just has one of the ships that just started sailing in Tahiti, which sounds absolutely fantastic because once again, with Tahiti, I haven't been there. My parents went there several times, of course. First time they stayed there, and then they came back and did cruises on the Tahitian Islands, but they loved it because once again, such a beautiful area. They had to fly down there, of course, to Papeete first, get on the ship, then sail around. But great experience for them. And I know Windstar Cruises this week just had one of the ships go down there, which sounds really, really, really fantastic. So definitely keep that in mind because once again, there's so many options out there when you think about where can I cruise, what should I do, where should I go. I love the Caribbean too. Alaska will be opening up in May. It's a great place to go visit too. And with Alaskan cruises, you can sail out of either Seattle in the United States or Vancouver, which is in Canada, but it's a great, 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 amazing experience. I do want to go back there myself because there's so many beautiful things you can actually see in Alaska. Glaciers. I did White Pass Railroad, which is fantastic. It's just beautiful ways to really experience Alaska in a unique ways too. Once again, it's just a great, great way to really see a different part of the world too. And I just loved it. It was fantastic. And I did that White Pass Railroad trip too. It actually took them 100 years to build this railroad. It went up 1,000 feet. It was fun to actually experience it going up and then back down, but it's beautiful. Things like that. Skagway, Juneau, beautiful. Anchorage too. But definitely keep in mind because the Alaskan season is going to be opening up pretty soon. As far as being able to sail, you can actually book an Alaska cruise right now. Don't wait because it's limited time frame too. But we've got different cruise lines that sail to Alaska. Princess Cruises, of course, has been sailing there for years, as is Holland America Line too. But we see other cruise lines sailing to Alaska and offering those types of itineraries, which I think is just another fantastic option to think about too. Because once again, it's a beautiful area to see and experience. Also, something else that comes up too is we've seen a lot of interest as far as they're kind of like bucket lists. I don't like the term bucket list because I can't fit in a bucket myself. But the point is, we see a lot of interest in Antarctica, and of course, the cruise lines that go there are their limited capacity. Their ships that go there have been specially built, of course, and they limit, I think, as to maybe 100 at the most. They're smaller ships, but a lot of times they have special people on board that are actually experienced in those areas too. So once again, you can actually see different areas too. Sometimes I know people have done this polar plunge there. I wouldn't do it myself, but I know people have done that too as part of their cruise in Antarctica. So just think about that too, because once again, just so many things are out there now more than ever before. And you don't think about that, but it's just another great way to really see parts of the world maybe that you hadn't thought about before. Because once again, cruising takes you to beautiful places and they do it in a very, very safe way. Also, as mentioned, they're really working very hard on getting into net zero emissions. And that's really, I think, fun because, as mentioned, the Carnival Jubilee is actually operated by liquefied natural gas. Okay, but definitely keep that in mind because we've got so many wonderful things going on that people maybe don't realize is going on in the industry too. And it's good to share those kinds of things too. More than ever, we need that as far as good things that go on in the cruise industry because once again, I like to share good ship happens. I know that as far as other ships, I know that Norwegian Cruise Line is launching one of their new ships too later on. I'll be sharing about that later on too. But also, I know that I share more about one new ship, the UTPC, is coming out in later on this year, Royal Caribbean's new ship. But also, we've got other ships coming out too. And something else that came up too is I know that we've got the Celebrity Ascent just debuted in December of last year. She was christened, of course, by the two co-godmothers. And the Celebrity Ascent is one that has the two co-captains, too, the brothers, which are great. But once again, too, is we've got more ships coming out, too. I shared some. I'll be sharing more later in future editions of Good Ship Happens. Mark, do you have any questions for me, too, or not?
There, I was just hey there, I was just checking out a couple of things, listening to you talk about the different ships and the things that were going on with those ships. And I was thinking that it is definitely Valentine's that later on this week and all in that space. So some people may be having that whole love boat kind of theme and that love boat kind of idea because definitely it is that season for some folks that are in that romantic mode and all along those lines. So I was definitely thinking about that as you were talking, and I definitely remember loving to see that show. And I actually saw a recent rerun of both that and well, I didn't see Love Boat rerun, but I saw the one that was the sister show for that, which was Fantasy Island. The plane, and all
Yes,
along those lines.
yes, yes,
So I
yes.
definitely saw that, and I did love those particular shows and all in that way. They're oftentimes quite fun to watch and to enjoy and all in that space. But I did have something I was going to share with you. It
Sure.
wasn't so much a question, but I thought that you might really enjoy this once I'm able to pull it up and everything. But sometimes when cruises are going out there and they're doing their thing, they sometimes have fun with each other as well. So sometimes they have fun with each other and all in that space. So this is actually from the Love Boat theme and all in that kind of space. But it can be fun watching ships enjoy themselves also. So I found this great video and I'm going to play it if I can pull it up and get
Yes.
it to run and all of that. But it was actually a duel between the love boats. You know, you can't make just one love boat. Sometimes there might be dual love boats that are out there in the sea, and they were having a dueling love boat moment and all along those lines. So I think this will be very enjoyable for you to watch. It might even put a chuckle in your heart and
Yes.
all in that space. But while I'm pulling that up really quickly, and while I'm thinking about it, just a quick question for you. Is there any last minute deals that people can get if they're thinking that they want to do a cruise? Maybe there are some of those river boats that I know you talk about often that are doing cruises for Valentine's Day, because we do know that Valentine's Day is on the 14th, and which will be Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and everything. So maybe there is a notion of some specials, and I didn't know if you had found any specials where they might be able to talk about those specials for folks that might be wanting to go on a romantic cruise on this particular Wednesday, because Valentine's Day will fall in the middle of the week this week and everything. But maybe there's some things that you can think of. But while you're after you say that, I do have the
Okay.
dueling video and everything.
Okay. As far as Valentine's Day, the good thing is they have special events on board the cruise ships themselves. They really do. They do that all the time. I know when I was on, I've sailed on cruise ships over Thanksgiving. It was great to experience that too. And also, what they do is even when I've been on board ships, even a good example was on the pre-christening cruise of the Celebrity Ascent. They were already starting to decorate the ship for Christmas. They're beautiful, amazing what they did. And the thing is, I've been on board cruise ships. We actually decorate the ships too, because I've sailed a lot of times, maybe end of November, 1st of December. Also, one time did a cruise over Thanksgiving. It was great to experience that too. But they're different themes. As far as last minute specials, when it comes to special holidays like this, of course, they're not going to depart on Valentine's Day. You'd actually probably depart on maybe Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be tough to find stuff. Plus, the big thing too is the biggest challenge is going to be getting there. You know, I mean, you want to drive there, you know, but also, like I said, flying can be kind of tough. You have to worry about cancellations. And usually they tell people, make sure you take the first flight out so you don't miss the ship. Also, make sure if you could, maybe fly the day before, because you just don't know about flights. It's not just the lack of staff we've seen before, but also sometimes you'll see fog. Weather conditions come up, they can't fly. They're being very safe. They came up with me one time when I was flying back from a special cruise conference. I actually was there to cover it. A special group, travel group, association group. I covered it, and then I was taking a 10 p.m. flight, and my flight was late for an hour. And then we got on the flight, and then after 2 hours, we started descending because the weather was so bad. They had so much fog in Chicago, we couldn't actually go further. We had to actually land in, I think, Atlanta, Georgia. We disembarked about 2 a.m. And of course, they put us on flights that wasn't that same day, of course, 2 a.m. But they gave us a voucher to use for breakfast. Of course, every restaurant was closed. They brought back staff to get us rebooked. And that's when I got booked to fly that afternoon, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But the point is, they're being very safe. It wasn't their fault. They're just being very, very safe.
No, you definitely want to be safe and everything. There's no doubt about that.
Definitely. And so usually I tell people, if you can, try and fly in the day before. Get a hotel. That way you know you're going to be down there at least the day before. So if something comes up, other way related wise too is you can't control the weather.
Nope, that weather will get you every time. You
Yes.
cannot control the weather. It's got a mind of its own, and it's going to do what it wants to do, and all along those lines.
It does.
But if you want to, we're going to see a dueling 2-minute video between Celebrity Eclipse and Disney. So they were having the dueling songs of the Love Boat. So would you like to check out? And they were in the port. Would you like to check out the dueling competition? Let's check out the dueling competition.
Great.
Showing off now. Yo ho, yo ho. Showing off.
That was
I
a little bit.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Because when you said the dueling songs, I was like, okay, who's going to be singing? Well, the ships are singing.
The ships are singing. And speaking
love
of, it was great. And speaking of dueling, we mentioned Valentine's Day. One of them, one of those, I shouldn't say them, one of those cruises that you oftentimes talk about, they sent out a Valentine's Day message last year. I don't know if they did it this year, but let's check out what Alma Waterways, because their name does mean love, what they had to say about Valentine's Day on the last year. So let's check this one out.
In the month of love, we appreciate even more what we love in life, like our partner, our family, our friends, and why not our jobs. I love my job with Ama Waterways because Ama means love and brings love. And most importantly, with Ama Waterways, we love our guests. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope to see you very soon on one of our ships.
From Spain with love. Happy Valentine's Day. Feliz San Valentín.
Happy Valentine's Day. We love you.
Happy Valentine.
From Hungary.
Happy Valentine's Day also from Slovakia.
Destination love, joy on the board, every land and every nation.
Happy Valentine's Day from the Rhine River.
Happy Valentine's from Egypt.
We are stronger than one, yes we conquer, we are the people that flow like the river, we
Happy
Happy
St. Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
I love that.
That was their beautiful message of
Yeah.
love and everything. And that was from last year and everything. So that was from last year. But I understand that they may have given you a one from this year as well. So we might have a more modern message, but it's not as modern as being in the month of February. So it's not that
Right.
modern, but it is much more recent. Everything. I did like the dance steps that the couple were doing, and we saw some people that are having a good old time with their Valentine's Day and all along those lines. So it was amazing to watch those people just having a good old time and enjoying themselves. But speaking of enjoying themselves, we're going to see Alma do it one more time, and this time Alma Waterways, and this time they're going to do it through the areas of Europe. I don't know if they'll get to Egypt and some of the other places that they go, but this is their other message of love coming from that area and everything. And I might have another cruise from an unusual place to have a cruise, but apparently not just us folks in the West are doing cruises, but apparently there's some cruises coming out of China as well, and I might have a video about that. But let's check out this particular cruise and what they were doing on this one.
Okay.
That was
Beautiful.
pretty. That was from Alma Waterways, and that was a very pretty message that they gave us. A very beautiful thought, and all along those lines. So it was very beautiful to see that particular video, and all along those lines. Hey, I don't know if you noticed, and this will be my last one for this particular show in terms of the videos that I've pulled. But we oftentimes talk and we see the videos from, of course, the various American companies, and of course some of the European companies as well. But what I learned, which I did not always know, is that we're not the only ones that do the whole cruise industry thing. There are other parts of the world that do cruising as well. So we're actually going to, if we get a chance to, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up really quickly, get to see a message and maybe even read, because it is definitely in their language and not in our language, that even the folks that are considered to be enemies by some like to go cruising. So cruising is a universal language, because apparently even there in China, they like to go cruising as well. So we've got it, and it's actually in one of those Chinese languages. It might be Mandarin, it might be Cantonese. I'm really not sure what language it is, but I do know that they had some translations, so we can watch the translations and maybe see how they do cruising on the Chinese Sea and all along those lines. So I figured we take a cruise, because apparently there's some, in their mind, foreigners, maybe they're from other Asian cultures or other places, they were going on the cruise with them. So yes, even in communist China, they do sometimes have cruising as well. So I thought we'd check this out, Sandy, and get a different perspective of the world and see how they do cruising in another part of the world. This is only a minute and a half or a minute and 11 video, but let's check this out and see what they've got to say about the way they do things. Let's check this out.
On the evening of August 22nd, the night of Chinese Valentine's Day, the lights on both sides of the Ganjiang River in Nanchang were dazzling, and high-rising buildings stood in great numbers. More than 30 campers from 13 countries who participated in the Jiangxi branch of 2023 Northeast Asia Youth Camp on Sustainable Development took a cruise on the Ganjiang River, looked at Taiwan Pavilion, and moved forward against the gentle breeze. Boat sails in the river, people travel in the painting. The campers stepped onto the deck, leaned against the fence, and lost themselves in a wonderful night of Nanchang. On Chinese Valentine's Day, people from all over the world met and bonded with each other in Jiangxi.
你好，我叫司马青年，我来自尼泊尔，我是南城航空大学的本科生。
你知道今天是什么日子吗？
当然知道，今天是七夕节，它是中国情人节，每年是在中国的农历的7月7日。我现在在干站上坐船，看了探望哥，然后这个漂亮的月亮就是很浪漫，我觉得南昌真的这么漂亮。我祝大家七夕节快乐。
So there it was. They were going on a cruise down the Chinese River, and it was an international cruise. So they had people not just from China, but other parts of the world. And it looked like it was an environmental thing that was going on as well. But they were on that cruise, and they talked about it. And like I said, they did have it written in Chinese, but they also had the English translation. And of course, August is their Valentine's Day. So they've already had Valentine's while we're waiting to have ours.
Right. That's great. Because once again, we talk about this month, February, and Valentine's Day too. But once again, too, is there are some cruise lines that actually let you get married on board the ship.
Exactly.
Not all of them, but some do. Also, I've seen some of the chapels. And I saw a chapel that Royal Caribbean had to get married on the ship too. Because years and years ago, what happened was you couldn't get married on a cruise ship. You actually could take a cruise, then maybe could get married. For instance, a good example was St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Married there, of course, and then of course get back on the ship too, because you get married during the day. But also something that came up too is, as far as romance cruises too, is we think about February 14th, but once again, it's a good way to really think about, maybe this year's probably too late, but maybe next year think about maybe taking a special cruise during Valentine's Day, because you can actually do your wedding renewal vows,
Yep.
And maybe celebrating anniversary.
You could definitely do
My
that.
parents did that on Princess Cruises.
Did they do it on Princess Cruises?
They sailed on Princess Cruises several times for anniversaries
Wow.
in the month of April, But it's great because they loved it. And that's when I had Gavin McLeod sign that special happy anniversary card for my parents, which I gave from with their back. It was a long time ago. But then this is great because they actually had me booked. I was still doing some sales for another agency at the time. But what happened was they liked going to Tahiti. They would do it for a special anniversary. But what a great way to kind of celebrate your anniversary. If you like go a certain place, and once again, cruising makes it much easier. And then they're able to retire. They had time to do it too. It's great. So definitely think about that, because once again, we think about February 14th, but also it's kind of like Romance Month.
Yep.
And think about that too, because once again, cruising is back big time. Okay, I mean, it's so good to see ships being filled up, which is great. It's coming back like crazy. But also, River Cruise Lines is also ideal for people that maybe want to renew their wedding vows or maybe a special anniversary.
Yep, no doubt.
Places.
That is amazing. Well, I'm going to bounce off, and we'll have you do the closeout and everything. But it's been another amazing show. But I just thought I'd show you some Alma Waterways, 2 of their commercials, as well as different parts of the world as well. Yes. But it's definitely some great conversation.
Right. Now, with Alma Waterways, been around over 22 years, and they're family owned, which is great. Christine Karntz actually came in to start it with Rudy Schreiner. He's known as the architect of the river cruise industry, a fantastic couple. And she came over from another country, worked for American Express, came over. And also he came over, I think, from Germany, but actually he was working, I think, as an architect over in Germany, came to the U.S. for something else and moved down for a special project in South America. He built a raft, on the Columbia River, came back, he relocated to New Orleans and actually helped other people start river cruising, because once again, back then, in those days, we really didn't have anything going on as far as river cruise lines. And we had a few, not too many, but it's grown like crazy. What happened was, after Rudy and Kristen Karntz, another person, another partners, started on Waterways, the fun thing is about love is when Christine and Rudy got married. They're great couple, amazing people. They love what they do, and fantastic. Because once again, Alma means love, and that's where they came up with the idea of Alma Waterways. But great stories with people as far as sharing love in different ways too. And once again, think about maybe taking a cruise next year over Valentine's Day, just to kind of celebrate something fun too. You can renew your vows if you want to, or just a way to celebrate your anniversary too. But just great things to do on cruise ships, because once again, you've got the ship takes you different places, and you've got choices to do too. You've got a variety of entertainment on board, which is fantastic. I love the entertainment on board cruise ships. It's different entertainment. Even when I was on the Summer Ascent, it was amazing what we had as far as options, as far as shows. I was just on the ship for 2.5 days, but it was amazing to see the entertainment we had a chance to explore those 2 nights, which is great. And once again, when you go to different destinations, not that I'm bad-mouthing one, but once again, go destinations, sometimes you have to pay for shows. But these are great Broadway productions. For instance, I know that with Icon of Seas, they actually have The Wizard of Oz on board as one of their musical productions, which sounds great. And something else that really kind of captures people's love is, I mentioned it last week, but with Icon of Seas, they have a new chief dog officer. Her name is Rover. She is a 6-month-old golden retriever. I just wrote about her along with the updates on Icon coming out. She's just christened, of course, but once again, just great ways to kind of really experience different things that maybe you wouldn't be able to experience different ways. So just ending on a happy note. We all love dogs, right? That's part of our kids walking the floor. But once again, too, it's just a great way to kind of think about sharing those good experiences with love. And to a wonderful happy Valentine's Day next week, which is coming up shortly. But thank again for joining me on Good Ship Happens. And next week I'll share more wonderful stories going on in the cruise industry too. But I love the fact that there's so many good things going on in the cruise industry too. Just different ships coming out, different choices where you can sail. And also Alaska's gorgeous too. Antarctica is a great growing area too. Once again, the cruise lines that go there are very, very small ships. They are specially built. But until next week, I look forward to having you join me again on Good Ship Happens. I'm Cindy Bertram. Thanks again so much for joining me on Good Ship Happens. Until next week, thank you.
I'm Dr. Sylvia Earle, a marine biologist, oceanographer, explorer, and I'm passionate about the protection of this blue planet. I grew up next to the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico, and unwitnessed how much the ocean has changed and how marine life has been endangered. But I know there is still time to help the ocean, which is why I was drawn to the Aponte family's sustainability mission. Explorer Journeys has a genuine ambition to connect people with the wonders of the sea, its marine life, its communities, spiritually, physically, and intellectually. We share the same values and have the same objectives to deepen people's relationship with the ocean, to explore, protect, and restore. Explorer Journeys calls it the ocean state of mind, a sensibility that will ensure the protection of this precious blue planet. Through my foundation, Mission Blue, we're working on ocean conservation, inspiring hope with champions across the world. Beginning with my extraordinary role as godmother to Explorer One, we will be heralding a meaningful collaboration between myself, Mission Blue, and Explorer Journeys and the MSC Foundation towards preserving and restoring the world's oceans, the blue heart of the planet.